In the kingdom of Aeloria, where emerald hills rolled beneath skies of endless sapphire, Princess Elara lived in a castle of white stone that gleamed like moonlight. She was renowned for her beauty, hair like spun gold, eyes the color of spring violets, but more so for her spirit, which burned with curiosity and kindness. Though her days were filled with courtly duties, her heart yearned for something beyond the gilded walls of her world. Elara's father, King Alaric, was a stern but loving ruler, determined to secure his daughter's future through a strategic marriage. Suitors from distant realms, princes adorned in silks, dukes bearing jewels paraded before her, each more pompous than the last. Elara greeted them with grace, but her smiles were hollow. None stirred her soul. One spring morning, Elara slipped away from her entourage during a ride through the countryside. Disguised in a simple cloak, she wandered into a bustling village market, where the air hummed with laughter and the scent of fresh bread. There, amid stalls of woven baskets and vibrant flowers, she saw him, a young man named Torin, a woodcarver with hands calloused from craft and eyes warm as autumn embers. He stood at his stall, shaping a piece of oak into a delicate bird, his focus so intent it seemed the world faded around him. Elara, drawn by his quiet artistry, approached and asked about his work. Torin, unaware of her royal status, spoke freely, his voice steady and kind. They talked of small things, the grain of the wood, the songs of sparrows, and Elara felt a spark she'd never known. For the first time, she was not a princess, but simply Elara, laughing with a man who saw her for herself. Days turned to weeks, and Elara found excuses to visit the village. She and Torin met by the riverbank or in the shade of an ancient oak. He showed her how to carve, guiding her hands with gentle patience, and she shared stories of the stars she studied from her tower. But secrets cannot last in a kingdom of whispers. A guard spotted Elara in the village, and word reached King Alaric. Furious, he summoned her to the throne room. "A commoner?" he thundered. "You are destined for greatness, not a life of sawdust and simplicity." Elara stood tall, her voice steady. "Father, I am destined for happiness, and I have found it with Torin." Alaric, torn between tradition and his daughter's fire, banished Torin from Aeloria. Torin left without protest, his heart heavy but his resolve unbroken. He settled in a neighboring kingdom, carving intricate sculptures that told stories of a golden-haired woman who loved the stars. His work gained fame, and soon his creations adorned noble halls. Elara, confined to the castle, refused to bend. She rejected every suitor. A year passed, and Aeloria prepared for a grand festival to celebrate the harvest. Kings and lords from across the land were invited, and with them came tales of a woodcarver whose art moved hearts. When Elara heard Torin's name, hope flared within her. She pleaded with her mother, who convinced Alaric to invite the mysterious artist, curious to see the man who had captured their daughter's heart. The festival was a tapestry of color, banners fluttering, music soaring, tables laden with feasts. Torin arrived unaware he was entering the lion's den. His gift to the king was a sculpture of two figures beneath a starry sky, their hands entwined, carved with such tenderness that the crowd fell silent. Elara, standing beside her father, gasped, her eyes meeting Torin's across the hall. The truth was laid bare. King Alaric, moved by the sculpture's beauty and his daughter's unwavering love, faced a choice. Tradition demanded he uphold his decree, but the sight of Elara's tear-streaked face and Torin's quiet dignity stirred something deeper. He called Torin forward and asked, "What makes you worthy of my daughter?" Torin replied, "I am no prince, but I love her with all I am. I would give my life to see her smile." The court held its breath. Alaric looked to Elara, then to the sculpture, and finally to his wife, whose nod was soft but sure. "Love," he said at last, "is a rarer treasure than gold. If you have found it, Elara, I will not stand in its way." The hall erupted in cheers as Elara ran to Torin. Their embrace a promise kept. They married in the spring, beneath the ancient oak where they'd shared their first secrets. The kingdom celebrated, nobles and villagers alike dancing under lanterns that glowed like stars. Elara remained a princess, but she and Torin built a life that bridged their worlds, a modest house near the castle, where she studied the heavens and he carved stories in wood. Their love, born of chance and nurtured by courage, became a legend in Aeloria, whispered by lovers for generations. They had faced a world that tried to divide them and emerged whole, their love a quiet triumph. And so in a kingdom where love once seemed impossible, they lived happily ever after.